Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Trek Talk with the crew, or a dumpster fire. One or the other. We'll have both. How's it going, everybody? I'm TechMan16.
I'm Kirk.
And I'm Handy.
I'm
ShadowGray.
Yeah, and ocmsrzr from 45.
Excellent. Thanks, guys, for joining. All right, so let's start off with some really cool stuff, and that's Star Trek Lower Decks. I got to binge watch the rest of season 2 because I was a little bit busy, but I watched episodes 4 through 10 in I don't know, it seems like a couple hours. I breezed through all the episodes. I gotta say, I think they really found their groove in the latter part of the second season. It's not as much Rick and Morty dialogue anymore. It's very there's actually good pacing to it, and it's really a show for Star Trek nerds. I mean, you can watch it if you don't know anything about Star Trek, but there are just so many Easter eggs and hints. Like there's an episode where Boimler joins this group called the Red Shirts, and obviously we know what the Red Shirts are, but effectively it's a group of 4 people that want to be captain by only acting like a captain, by giving motivational speeches, by having the look. And Boimler's like, wait, you guys call yourselves the Red Shirts? Do you know what that means? Like, of course we do. It's all about like the motivational speeches that we motivate the crew. And he's like, right. And the only reason they let him in is because Boimler served on the Titan, and they wanted to know like Riker's habits so they could better emulate Riker. And so they constantly drop these hints about, does Riker does he shine his trombone often or something like that. So it's just like, if you don't know who Riker is, or you've never watched The Next Generation, you wouldn't know what the hell is going on in that thing. And then I do love how they made the Pakleds like an actual legitimate enemy. And if anybody knows anything about the Next Generation episode, the Pakleds are basically a race of morons who steal everybody's technology and graft it onto their own. But they don't know what they're doing, so they could be easily tricked. But I think Lower Decks has made a very good balance of having them be powerful yet still stupid enough, but they're still a legitimate threat. And they did a really good job with both the Vulcans and the Klingons, and especially the Vulcans. That was really hilarious. Kirk, you would probably get a kick out of it because they had an episode where they talked about Lower Decks on other races' ships, and the Vulcans were, like hyper-logical, and then there's this one person that is like, oh, I've enhanced our long-range sensors. And they're like, your job was supposed to be to monitor the tertiary impulse drive or something like that. And she's like, well, that is a redundant system. Like, I felt this was a more useful, a more important use of my time. And then so they go to the captain and they're like, these emotional outbursts cannot happen anymore, right? And they're like all talking very quietly. He's like, you need to meditate for 48 hours, which is really fun to watch. And then that episode ended with the Lower Decks on the Borg, and it was basically just like drones regenerating for like 25 seconds, which is hilarious.
Yep. Full disclosure, I've watched all of them, but because of my extreme ADHD, as we discussed on our last podcast, if it's not interesting, I can watch it and not comprehend a damn thing. Just like I can listen to you talk and not hear a damn thing you say. So yeah. It's kind of hard.
But it was, I found it extremely enjoyable, and it was fun to watch compared to Discovery, which is just train wreck of a show. And then Star Trek Prodigy premiered. Kirk, did you watch both episodes, or did you just watch the first one?
No, I watched both of them.
What did you think of the second episode?
Seeing as how the first episode had nothing in it that was really felt like Star Trek, except the hologram that appeared at the very end. The second episode was better, but I still it just doesn't feel like Star Trek. And after you get done discussing what you're going to discuss, I guess we can get into a little bit why I say that.
Well, we can get into it now. Like I actually like the premise of the first episode where they're on a prison colony. They find this Federation starship, the Protostar, and they get it up and running. And the thing takes place in the Delta Quadrant. So obviously there's a hologram of Janeway, and apparently the ship is for recruits or cadets or something. What I don't understand though is how a Tellarite got to the Delta Quadrant. That was kind of a strange coincidence. And same thing with a Medusan, how the Medusan got to the Delta Quadrant. But maybe they'll explain that later. But yeah, the animation, we talked about it offline. The animation definitely felt Star Trek or Star Wars Clone Wars-esque, which, I didn't watch too much of Clone Wars, but I could definitely see the similarities in it.
Can I answer your question?
Sure.
So the running theory is Voyager was the last ship that got pulled to the Delta Quadrant, far from the first, and that a lot of these species from the Alpha Quadrant got pulled into the Delta Quadrant, and then their offspring were like kidnapped and stuff, and that's how all these kids from Alpha Quadrant races ended up on that planet.
But I think it was established that penal colony was way closer to the Alpha Quadrant than where the caretaker.
It is close, but also you got to imagine it's been so many decades that surely some of these races made it their way around, because the Kazon were right there where the caretaker was, deep in the Delta Quadrant, but yet you had a Kazon bounty hunter going around bringing all these orphan kids that he was kidnapping to the penal colony.
The premise of the series only took place 5 years after Voyager returned home. So since 8 decades. It's only been 12 years.
Yeah. But there's still been a lot of advances in the sciences, especially with Voyager going through the Delta Quadrant, changing everywhere it went. And, they spread the information about the Federation everywhere.
Sure.
I guess I could kind of see it when you consider everybody on that ship as a kid.
They are a kid. They were literally lost orphans or kidnapped orphans, but they were using because they'd already grabbed all the criminals they could get.
But if the caretaker would pull them to the farther reaches of the Delta Quadrant, that means that these kids would have had to traverse Borg space to get to where that penal colony is. So how do we account for that?
Their parents did, and then they were born and stuff.
So their parents got
I'm sure
through.
I'm sure
The parents were on the ships that got taken.
I'll wait for the explanations, I guess, because we can speculate all we want. Anyways, Kirk, you want to talk about the similarities and/or differences between Clone Wars and Prodigy?
I mean, it's the art style, right? And let's be honest, this show is made to appeal to kids. I mean, if you go on Paramount Plus and you go on the kids version, it's one of the first things that pops up, right? So they're marketing it like more to kids. And so if you look at the fact that like Clone Wars and these Star Wars cartoons and so forth that were extremely successful as far as the children are concerned. I think that it's a bit of a smart idea to kind of take a page out of their playbook and look at the art style as appealing to children. Just the interactions that are going on. Very simple, a lot of silly things happening, there's not a lot of... It just doesn't feel like there's a lot of depth to it. So it's hard for me to say that it sucks because to be honest, they didn't make that show for grown ass people like us, right? That's not really what it was intended for. So it's just when you watch it, it's hard for me to feel like I'm watching Trek. It just doesn't have the energy. It doesn't feel like it. Even Lower Decks, even Discovery. I hate Discovery. Lower Decks, I don't hate it, but it's not really. I'm not too big a fan of the style there. For what it is, it's good. At least, even when I watch those, it still feels like Star Trek. It just feels like Star Trek that I'm not very interested in. But when I watch this Prodigy, I keep catching myself forgetting that I'm watching Star Trek, if that makes sense. It's hard for me to get into the spirit of that. You know, when you watch Deep Space Nine, or you watch the movies, or you watch the original series, it's in my mind, I'm in that zone. You know, I'm watching Star Trek. That's what I'm doing. But when I'm watching this, it feels like I'm watching something else, and then every now and then something happens, or there's some dialogue, or some of the scenes where you're reminded that, oh yeah, this is supposed to be Star Trek.
So I got a question for you then. If Lower Decks were to introduce a bubble shield and a 70-foot tall Vulcan, would that feel more like Star Trek?
As long as the artists were on the heavy amount of doses of LSD that they did during the animated series back in the 70s, I think so.
All right. Anybody else? You guys like Star Trek Lower Decks or Prodigy before we move on?
Nope, we can move on.
Go fuck yourself.
I love Lower Decks. It scratches the same itch as Archer. Have a couple of Manhattans with my wife, and the Prodigy. I haven't seen it yet. I'm evading the whole "you watched it without me" conversation with my wife, so I'll probably see it tonight.
Nice. Shadow?
Yes, sir.
Did you watch any of Lower Decks or Prodigy?
No, I have no clue what you guys talking about.
Excellent. Good. Cook?
I really enjoy. I think Lower Decks is one of my new favorite Star Trek shows, and Prodigy has some. It reminds me of Star Wars Rebels, where at first it's kind of like kiddie and campy, but it really grows on you, and it's got a lot of character and depth to it. And I'm really curious to see how it goes.
Okay. Perfect. Thanks, guys. All right, let's move on to the game, because nobody else watches any Star Trek content other than Kirk and Cook and I, apparently.
I watched it like 20 years ago.
I haven't had time to watch it.
Yeah,
but
it's
on my list
handy.
of things to watch.
I'm sure you'll get to it. You know, when Scopely expands their level set to 150, 5 years from now.
He's too busy hanging out in DJ's podcast and playing Marvel Heroes or whatever the hell that game is.
That's right.
Marvel Future Revolution.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to offend you.
Yeah, get it right.
All right, let's get to the Server 34 conflicts, and boy, we've got a lot of Karens on our server. Let's see, the biggest conflicts right now that are going on are Dead and Mill, but that's a weird conflict all on its own. And then there's Bold and QT, and then there's Dark and Friends against Wolf. So, and those two conflicts, the Dark Plus folks against Wolf, and QT versus Bold, is all having to do with hits on golden showers. Which is just sad.
You know, there was we were talking about it before. There's some development last night. I trolled the hell. Oh, dude, I trolled the hell out of everybody. So apparently, the new thing is now everybody's wanting to go to. And I say everybody. I'm exaggerating, but it seems to be a catching trend where alliances are wanting to switch to. Okay, you know, we used to have this thing where if you have this ISO, you can't hit OPL for this particular ISO because you can mine it so quickly, and that was cool, right? And now it's getting to the point where you can't hit any of us OPL in TC, or you're going to put you KOS for X amount of time. And my reaction is very much like the reaction that I'm sure Tech is having probably right now, going, what the fuck? So, for me, it was, we went from, OPL is OPL, and there were wars over this. And then, then it went to, well, we're going to meter what you can hit for ISO. And so people agreed to that. And it's like, okay, we got that established. And I thought that it worked out pretty decent. There were some conflicts and things, but everybody seemed to be on the same page for the most part. But now we're going it's not even 360. We're doing like a 720 or some shit. I don't know where we're at this point, a 540. And now we're going complete opposite direction.
It's only 2 alliances, to be fair.
But here's the thing: the fact that the support for it is coming from at least one of the alliances who is really big on OPL is OPL, but now all of a sudden, if you hit any OPL, even if we're mining fucking par steel and you hit us, then we're going to put you on KOS if you come into our TC.
Only in TC.
But it's only in TC. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that how do you go from not even 3 months, 4 months ago, no, if it's OPL, we're going to hit it, you should watch your miner, to now all of a sudden, if you hit us for par steel, we're going to blow you up.
I can tell you exactly, because all of us think the same things, and we all actually agree with each other. The only reason there's disagreements is because people want to be confrontational and fight. That's why. So they can choose which argument they want that month.
But that's
or what they support.
But the thing is, it's like, hey guys, we're getting bored and we want to fight people. We want a reason to log into the game again. So, just say that. But it's to me, what really not pisses me off. I don't really get pissed at anybody here, but what I would say perturbs me, or what baffles me, and what causes that reaction from me is that, is the fact that you are doing something under the guise of something else, right? And so instead of saying, for example, we just want to do more PvP because we're bored, let's make this crazy rule that we all know will just cause a bunch of crap. And when we're called out on it, we're going to defend it and then attack you personally and call you names and all these other things because you called us on our lie.
To be specific, he's talking about bold, not dark.
Well, Dark is doing that too, don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but Dark's been doing it since the beginning. They've always said, stay the fuck out of our TC. They've never changed their position. That's always
no, that's not necessarily true, but anyways.
Yeah, it is. It's literally been their official stance since we started the TC server. And they stayed out of the swamps.
When I was in Dark, OPL was OPL. Okay, so that's
here.
it. When I was in Dark, OPL was OPL. I was in Dark for a long time during TC.
Is.
So
no, it's not.
It's not in TC.
So, but that's what I'm saying. So the change has happened, and so again, everybody from those alliances, bold. I don't really have a problem with anybody. I really don't. Personally, I actually like talking to everybody. I love the, going back and forth and everything. So I don't have a personal problem. But in the game, I will say that I made the joke, but it's actually ringing true. So I guess I can say I called it. But that's why I jokingly called the TC the Karen Accords, because it's just getting so out of hand. With all these new rules and every month new rule and all these things. If you want to fight, just fight. It's fine. But don't. My problem is that when someone calls you on it and says that's ridiculous, it's ridiculous. That's why you did it, is to create conflict. But then instead of saying, yeah, we know, but we just want to fight, it's let me attack someone. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, get what you're saying.
So at the end of the day, whatever my alliance, my peeps decide to do, I will follow those rules. I'll cry about it. You know what I mean? I'll bitch about it and I'll fuck with people, but I'll still follow the rules. And that's it is what it is. So it doesn't. If Nona and everybody else tomorrow says, "Yep, that's what we're doing," well, guess what? Then that's the rule that I will follow. I will do it. But I think it's really silly, and I think that it's for this huge, big, drawn-out fight that we had over the past several months over this issue of OPL to now all of a sudden everybody just had what most alcoholics would call a moment of clarity, and we're like, oh, actually, we're gonna completely reverse everything that we called names and disrespected people over, and we're actually just gonna do the complete opposite. And I don't understand where that's justified. And I guess, it's a game and some other alliance, so it's not like they really have to justify it to anybody but themselves, but they're trying. It doesn't stop from trying to justify it to everybody else. So
I had a conversation with Darius on Dead Server, kind of discussing this, right? When I found out that effectively Voter Wolf trolled Wolf into a war, and then Bold went all apeshit about their miners getting, butthurt. So I thought, I was like, man, what a bunch of hypocrites. Everybody involved here is all a bunch of hypocrites. You follow a row, and then all of a sudden you change your row when you feel bored, and then you don't really tell anybody. You just retaliate by dry hitting everybody. And he's like, he's like, I don't disagree with you. However, we have to stop looking at the game in a sense where the notions haven't changed since like November 2018. To which I understand, and it was a valid point where the game is ever changing, the game is ever evolving. Alliances are getting more and more bored. To Kirk's point, if you want to fight, just say you want to fight. Don't convolute things. Like I was, Dark and friends, Dark and Most and Baby Most, started trolling in GC, like just massive amounts of trolling in GC against Wolf for the war that they had, where all the power players went into Baby Most and kicked Wolf out of their territory. And it was just this. Dark's policy has always been like, don't troll in GC, and then all of a sudden, all these massive Dark trolls are telling about how they kicked Wolf out of their territory. And how this all started was Wolf not dry hit. They hit a Dark guy OPL. Voter says, stay out of our territory or we rain holy hell on you. And so what they did is they went into Wolf's territory and started raiding everybody. And, when you got level 50s against level, low level 40s or high level 30s, it's just, you're not going to win. And so that set off one of the Wolf guys who went and hit Kevin's miner up in G5 space. And then Dark came out with their declaration of war, in air quotes. And to which, if we're going to change our mindsets on territories, on who owns territories and what the specialty rules of territories are, I think we should change the notion that if you're base rating, you're trolling.
Sorry, I stepped up. You're talking about NT. You're talking about NTC, right? Like if you're base rating.
I don't care. No, it's I mean, we've gotten to a point where OPL is OPL to OPL is OPL, but, and to quote Inko, who's in the audience here, but if it's a Tuesday and you're using this ship and you're over by this much, and if you're here and not there at a 45-degree angle, then it's no go. And you're like, what the fuck are you talking about? So in general, everybody's at a power level where you don't need to raid anybody, and if you are, you're just doing it to troll people.
I could back you on the TC there, because you're not going to get much out of there before someone sees you. You're having to warp in and out, and it's going to take you forever. But I mean, yeah, it is getting pretty silly. But I think one of the things is that what's causing it to get even maybe a little bit more silly, is that people are having that reaction, like, well, let's just go to the extreme, let's just go all the way this way and no PvP, and we'll do that. And then, if you see the conversation that we had in that little TC swap server, you'd see that was the kind of the running theme. I said something to Voter about, how it's silly and doing this and all that stuff, and we just took it from there and we turned it into a big joke. But yes, the problem is just people taking something and running with it, and it's people are only going to get yanked around for so long before they're finally like, all right, you know what? Even the people that were neutral and they were just like, yeah, I'll do whatever and follow the rules. Even they're getting sick of it. You know what I mean?
And they are. And I've gotten enough screenshots from everybody saying this is what happened. I mean, like in Bold's case, I'm just baffled. That baffles me. They came on the show and told Handy, hey, don't bitch and cry if you're getting hit OPL. And now they're bitching and crying that they're getting hit OPL, and I start dry hitting everybody that's hitting in their territory, which is so baffling to me just to know that. Not a few months ago, that's what Captain Mal came on here and Smooth called him a retard for. And now the shoe's on the other foot.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I said I knew you were your idea behind it was pretty much mirrored everything that I was saying, and that's the exact way I felt about it. That we spent so much time and energy to get on an even keel to try our compromises and figure out all this stuff, and Handy and other people involved, spent so much time and energy trying to get everybody on the same page, and for the benefit of everyone, and then all of a sudden it's. If you hit anything OPL in TC space, then we're going to put you on KOS. And it's like, that is the exact response that a year ago, the entire server would have chastised someone for doing that. And everybody would have put an alliance on KOS simply for having that type of policy. And, like I said something to Voter last night about it, and I said that's a very Karen move, that if your alliance does that. And he was like, well, it's not about the OPL, it's about going against our policy. And my thing was like, you can play semantics all you want to, but that's what it is. It's you can't run around and try to explain that away and justify it. That's the problem that's the big problem that I have. You're trying to justify acting this way, and that is exactly what people who chase down cars to record license plates and call the police on their neighbors for having a barbecue. That is the same exact energy. I said what I said, and I stand by it.
You got a good point. Can't argue with that logic.
I mean, that is an internet Karen, minivan driving, blue short bob, haircut, slightly overweight, trying to record somebody. That is that exact energy transferred into STFC form. And you can try to explain it away all you want, but I guarantee you 90% of the people that are hearing what I'm saying are nodding in agreement, and either that or saying yes out loud.
Oh my God.
Kirk, I need you in my alliance so goddamn bad.
You don't. You don't. Ask Handy. You don't.
Oh.
Nah, he causes problems. He's a fucking troublemaker.
Said the hurricane to the monsoon.
So I actually have a funny NONA story, because I hit somebody OPL on their golden shower in NONA, and what's happening is I just think people are getting so lazy that are in territory, and territories have slowly kind of eroded everybody's sense of gameplay. Because I hit this one dude in NONA for, I don't know, he was showing 450,000 ISO 3-star or whatever. And I just took it, and then I moved on. And he proceeds to PM me and says, just wanted to let you know, you got a really weak pirate ship, so I suggest leveling it up. And, you shouldn't be lazy by hunting OPL, you could go mine it. Oh my God. That was just like, I'm like, did you even read what you just wrote? Like, do you understand how the game works? And he's like, well, you're pretty weak for your ops level. I'm like, I'm sorry, did I not just blow up your ship and leave? Like, what universe are you talking about? It's like, well, my Vidar is only 1.2 million at my ops level, and I only use it to hunt Borg probes. I wanted to say, if I was Handy, I would have kicked you for what you just said. I wouldn't even think two shits about like how you talk to other people. But anyways, I eventually engaged him in some some of my own trolling dialogue. And then I had to explain to him what he signed up for when he's at NONA. And he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it.
I think that we really need to normalize calling people out for that type of behavior instead of smoothing it over and pretending that it's an acceptable complaint or an acceptable route. I mean, it needs to start, leadership and stuff like that. And, people come with complaints and stuff, and it just basically needs to be, you need to quit fucking whining is what needs to happen. And that's really what needs to happen. Handy does that to an extent. He does it a lot better than probably I would, because I would have the very similar reaction to Tech, and I'd be like, you need to shut the fuck up because quit being a bitch. And then if they tried to clap back, then they would just get booted. And pretty soon I'd have like 3 people in my alliance, and 2 of the accounts would be inactive. You know what I mean? So obviously I'm not the one to implement that, but that needs to happen because that's the way this is going. And it's getting really boring. And, I'm going to tell you this right now. I was discussing this with a couple other people the other night, and it's getting to the point where if this continues, I'm going to quit the game. I'm going to not play this game anymore. And it's. I
want to go to Shadow. I want to go to Shadow for a sec because Shadow left Dark to join my alliance because he basically wasn't having any fun being in Dark, even though it's the number 2 power alliance. So sometimes takes over number 1, and there's a lot of movement with the whole most merger. And for our alliance, that the one that Shadow and I are in, we actually placed 30th place in the Cal event with effectively 6 people, 4 high level 30s, 1 low level 40. I mean, I think we did pretty good. But when we were having discussions, you had Shadow, you had some reservations about whether you wanted to, stay with me or go back to Dark and then leave Dark and come back. And I just want you to kind of share maybe your thought process of, kind of what you told me about playing in a top 5 alliance and then coming to play with somebody who just wants to have fun with the game.
Well, here's the story. I have a huge ego, and I always think of myself as number 1 in personal life and stuff like that. So the all alliances I ever played on this game since 1999 was always top 5. I never went below. I think I went one time below when I started my own alliance as a supporting alliance, a sister alliance to RMU, and I did for a month or so. But I usually try to keep in 5. And I was Dark. I joined Dark in the beginning of 99, early 2000, and I was there for a weekend, and then I left because Dark wasn't top 5. Dark was 7, and I wasn't actually. I was picked up in space from them, so I didn't actually end my race. I want to be Dark. I was just hit over the head. Welcome to Dark. And so I was kind of smirking around, and I found STFC. And I talked to Q and say I was a low level too, so I didn't have much chance of be there. So I just begged him, basically, give me at least a chance to play for at least for a couple of days, just to be number 1. But over a couple of days, it became a year and a half. And the reason I like to stay there because they eventually make me a commodore, and I was active. I like to help people. I like to do things around. I like the little power on some sort. And then when RMU demoted me to just another Joe Blow, I didn't have fun anymore. So if I'm going to be just another regular guy in here, I might as well be a regular guy somewhere else. So I called up Kevin, and Kevin asked me, so what makes you come back now? And I said, well, I'm kind of tired with RMU, and I want to move on and try different experiences. So yeah, Kevin, without a question, just brought me back, and because that was my home back in the day, and it was great. Everybody says welcome home and stuff like that, which was a nice feeling. And then I got bored again. Being just a player. I'm not just a player. I have a history in this game. I rather few feathers in the past in here with a lot of alliances, and I was kind of bored. And then I went to RMU for a weekend couple of weeks ago just to hang out with those guys and see. And people were asking me because I was high level 42, which was I was the most powerful guy on that alliance at that time for the weekend. And they asked me a lot of questions, how do I do this? What's the benefit of that? And all that thing. And I felt important again. I wanted again, instead of just playing the game. And when Techman, and then after that, I went to Techman for a day, because since I'm on a leave of absence weekend kind of deal, so I can visit all my friends. And I talked to him, and he was seeking if I could come and join and help them to build the alliance. I did kind of like it, but at level 42, to go into the low level, you need a lot of fuel to pump your station and stuff like that. And Dark was accommodate that. It was full benefits. I could have everything. So I was kind of debating, should I go back there or should I just stay? Because my strong feeling is to help a friend, to build an alliance. I'm into building alliances. I built alliances in the past. They failed, but still I had fun building them. And so I was kind of, hesitate for a while. And then I talked to Kevin a little bit. He discussed that, what should I do? And he gave me a few advices. And I looked at the pros and cons. And then I asked investigational thing. And I said, what the heck? Let's join Trek. I got nothing to lose. And I'm having blast. He made me a com. And I'm helping people, helping Alliance. I feel very comfortable. I achieved a lot of things. I was in many alliances, top alliance. I think I was like 3 top alliances, like NONA, SDSC, Dread was second, and Dark, and so on. So I've been there, done that. Time to do other things. I'm at a lower level, but with right attitude, we can achieve greatness. We can be on top. And like Tech mentioned, there is like 6 of us. We are 31st in things. 31st in this event, and we're going strong. We have there's a lot of alliances back behind us. They have like 68 people or so, and they're like way behind us. They're even making the grade, and I don't like being part of the lazy alliance, and this is not a lazy alliance. Everybody's contributing, everybody's doing well, and that's what I like. I like that, and I see where it goes. So I like it here, and I'm gonna stick around till I get fired. So that's basically
so you get fired.
Yeah.
Nice, thanks, Shadow. But
No,
I just think you illuminated something that a lot of people tend to forget playing the game. So if you're a high power player, the Lethals, the Incos, the Kevins of the world, level 53 to 56, you're gonna have your fun by trying to get that shiny new ship, or trying to get that new space, or mine those G5s or whatever. And your gameplay is different. It's not geared towards others, more or less. Or Handy could attest to that. It's more geared towards like your own gameplay. And I think people that get caught in the middle, the high 30s, even the mid 30s to the 40s, they're still trying to play the alliance game. And guys in other alliances like Wolf and QT that follow Ro and follow what everybody else says, all of a sudden the script gets flipped on them because of this Karen attitude. That makes the game less enjoyable for them. And that's what causes the friction and the drama on our server. And I just think it's unfortunate that some few individuals cause grief for the majority of the server because of that.
Sure does. Like from my point of view, like I state, I like having fun. I like helping people. I like also being top, but we can always start from the bottom and grow top, because that's an option there too. And basically, I like to be helping others, helping lower levels, give them advices and stuff like that. That's what I like about it. That's why I stayed for Army for almost a year and a half, / STFC, and I loved it because I was able to help others. Since they cut me off, I'm no longer needed. I'm out of here. Someone else can use my help. And that's why I went to Derek, and because that was my original home. And then the rest of history. I'm a Trekkie now, and going from there. Try to help everybody and see how it goes. And so far, we're doing well. We're only with 6 people. We're a powerhouse with 6 people alone.
That's funny. I never thought of our alliance as if you're part of it, you're a Trekkie. Because the alliance name is Trek. Wow, you just blew my mind, man.
And I'm not really a Trekkie person, like a thing. Like the reason I got into this thing because everybody loves Star Trek. Everybody watches that stuff, and the biggest nail to the coffin why I found this game and kind of got into it because my mom she worked on the Discovery because I'm from Toronto, and the Discovery is recorded in Pinewood Studios, and my mom worked on 2 seasons for there, so that's what I really got into it.
Wait, she did? Was she like a producer or like staff or something?
No, she's a set designer. She did all the sets and stuff like that for first 2 seasons.
Oh my god! Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's why I really got into it.
Do you have any like behind the scenes photos?
Yeah, I do, and I have few tricks how they are. I think, like for example, the door, how they slide open and stuff like that. It's actually 2 guys on each side with a string. They pull the string, doors open. They push the door closes. So there's nothing mechanical.
Yeah, I believe that.
Stuff like that. It's very minimal.
There was an article published, I think, in the 70s. Where Star Trek, when the original series got very popular, NASA contacted, at the time I think it was Desilu, it was being transitioned into Paramount, and they contacted them and said, how do you make your doors open and close so quickly? Because we're trying to design our space shuttles that have that kind of feature. And I think it was Paramount. Paramount responded, like, guys, it's just 2 guys opening doors and closing doors. It's not mechanical.
That's what it is. You got 2 strings, 2 guys, and a lot of power.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine actually going to college, getting a degree in astrophysics or some sort of rocket science, and watching a fucking by those standards was great, but by our standards, a very shittily done set design show for some doors opening and going. We need to officially ask how their doors work, when clearly, if you would have stopped and thought about it for 2 seconds, you would have realized that it was like a couple dudes smoking a cigarette, just waiting for somebody to walk in and out, and just opening and closing them.
Good God, that's what.
There's a story that went around.
In that email to NASA, I would have been like, "Yeah, just have a couple guys stand there all the time and open and close it."
There's a story that went around on the TOS original series that the crew, those guys, because that's what they did all the way back in the original series. They pulled the door open, they shoved it closed. That they hated Shatner so much that the director was telling them, "Hey, you guys can't pause at the door to see if it opens. You got to walk at that door with total confidence to know it's going to open." And 1 out of 10 times, the dudes would just not pull the doors, so Shatner would walk in face first.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay, so Shadow, what sets did your mom help design? Because I can't believe I'm saying this. I gotta rewatch some of the Discovery scenes to figure out what sets your mom did, so I could admire her handiwork.
Oh, that's painful, Tech. You're gonna go back and watch it? Jesus.
I know.
Discovery is a case study in people I wouldn't want to go to war with.
but in one 42-minute episode, you can completely cure PTSD.
Oh, geez.
As a former 11 Bravo, I don't remember that much hugging and hand holding in combat.
Yeah, but they're not the military, man. They're explorers.
Right. Well, I definitely love I definitely love to promote an ensign to first officer. By the way, I think that's my jam.
That's what I'm saying.
And also the show is recorded in Canada, so probably rub it off to be nice all the time.
Yeah, there you go.
They look it out. Everybody's so polite, apologizing and kind to everybody. Hey, let's make a nice show of hold hands and be nice and sing ooh la loo.
So just the next version of Star Trek is just gonna be called Star Trek Story.
Yeah.
And everybody talks with a Canadian with a eh. It's like, sorry, eh? Oh, I didn't see you there. I shouldn't have fired my phasers, eh?
They'll just apologize and all will be right with the universe.
Good person apologize later. Or just apologize in front of it. I am sorry about to do that.
There you go.
Don't worry. Season 5 of Discovery will have another universe mind-bending anomaly that they'll apologize to, and all of a sudden everything will be right in the world.
Yeah. This one, there's going to be earth-shattering, planet-shattering quakes, and come to find out, it's going to be like, a snoring zoo animal with a fucking microphone up his ass or something that farts. Like, that's going to be the new thing.
Right. Makes total sense.
It does. And they're going to have this big deal about it. People are going to die, and then they're going to be like, oh, so this guy's just farting into a microphone. Let's just turn off the amplifier, guys. Awesome. Let's all high five.
Yeah, their scale is what worries me in Discovery. It's everybody's saying, like in season 3, right? They had the whole the bang, whatever they called. I don't remember. It's so stupid. Where the Kelpian saw his mother and then screamed, and that caused the whole dilithium thing to die. And they're saying like, yeah, the galaxy, millions of ships died, or millions of people died because of this. I'm like, millions?
Pretty
millions?
Low.
Just millions, huh?
Those
for
are rookie
the
numbers.
galaxy.
For the
galaxy, there are almost quadrillions of life forms based on how we've associated with Star Trek, and you're talking millions of people died. It should have been a drop in the bucket. Be like, oh, okay, let's just build new ships. All right, here we go. Moving right along.
Yeah, on the grand scale of things, people should have been like, and millions of people died. You'd be like, wow, that's actually pretty good. That's not too bad.
And then what was it? Season 4 is going to be billions of lives are at stake. I mean, there's only 7 billion on Earth.
Slightly worse, but still nothing we can't handle.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, so
on a side note, we have other people on the stage that you've invited.
Yes.
What are they here for?
Oh, that's right. So ocmsrzr, he's from server 45, and we're gonna get into server 35 politics. Now that we've discussed that everybody on 34 is a Karen, hopefully on 45 they have slightly less Karens.
Helpful.
We don't have less, but they've been beaten down into submission that they mutter, but only in a very quiet voice.
Well done.
What's the male equivalent of Karen?
I think it's a Chad.
No, Chad.
It's a Chad.
No, it's not. Chad's something completely different.
I'm too fucking old.
So I don't know. It'd probably be like a Steven or something.
No.
All right, so
effectively on something clever.
So on server 45, the Karens have been beaten so hard they've turned into Stevens, but like muted Stevens.
They're like Milton from Office Space now.
Okay. So they'll set the building on fire?
They'll try.
Okay.
They're like, but I have a tanker truck of gasoline.
All right. Anyways, sorry, you have the floor. Tell us about server 45, some of the top alliances, what some of the history, and then some of the conflicts you currently have right now.
So it's quiet right now, but that won't last. I belong to a 4 alliance. We say that we're one big alliance and we have 4 fleets, but we're 4 alliances. That doesn't make sense to anybody but us. We're the top dogs, and we pretty much always has been. It started with BE, burn everything, and its sister fleet DE, destroy everything, and our 2 other fleets now, attack everything and conquer everything. We're really nice guys. If you go way back in time, really, 45 was going down the same path that a lot of servers were, where Ro was becoming, the mob wanted to rule more and more and more restrictive. And BE and DE said, just no, fuck no. We're gonna do a really simple Ro. We're not gonna hit UPC. We're not gonna hit armadas. And that was about it back then, unless we were at war. And everybody else like, well, we voted and we ruled. We're like, yeah, no, we're just not down for that. We're going to play our way. And we think that these minimum standards are not dickish, and everything else retards gameplay. And everybody went, well, we're going to make you. And, there were kind of 2 I had 2 responses to that. To the server, I was like, come at me, bro. And to my alliance, I was hold my beer. And, it didn't work. At one point we fought, 18 alliances declared war on us. And, that war went on for quite some time. And,
18 alliances, but I've always had this issue where if you have a bunch of alliances declare war on you, the advantage is to you because there's so many more targets you can hit.
Oh, it was the best of times. We have the majority of the bigs. BE currently is the number 1 alliance. DE is the number 2 alliance. CE, our other alliance, I believe, is 7th and maybe 6th. And AE, which is kind of our feeder alliance, where we're growing some great folks, is I think 9 or 10. That's just us. We have 300 people right now. Not back in the early days, but
what does that say, by the way? AE, BE, DE, CE. What do they stand for?
They attack everything, burn everything, conquer everything, and destroy everything are 4 alliances.
And then I'm assuming you did it because you guys were lazy and we're like, well, just choose the letters A, B, C, and D.
Well, it was BE came first, burn everything, which was just kind of a statement of we're just sick of your shit and we're growing our own way. And then DE quickly came after. And then we absorbed some other alliances about a month ago, and that's where AE and CE came from. So we thought, I think they call us the Alphabet Alliance now, or the Alphabet Kids, or whatever.
Yeah, that sounds right, because I think on server 9 they have or it used to be server 25, the immersion of server 9. They also have that Alphabet Alliance where it's like Alpha, Beta.
We had all these cool names for CE and AE. Like, we debated for weeks when we absorbed them on these cool names we were going to give them. And then we hit the character block, and none of them worked. So it was attack and conquer.
So you had 18 alliances declare war on you because... What did you say?
You were off.
Right, okay, got it. And how long did that last for again?
That war lasted, 4 months, maybe 5.
4 months?
For the holdouts. I'd say 4 months for the ones that went to the bitter end. I mean, day 2, we had alliances because, they thought it was cool. Hey, let's poke the bear. There's so many of us. What can they possibly do? And, oh shit, it's a grizzly. And by day 2, we had alliances screaming to ask us to let us out of the war. And we did, like maybe half a dozen of them in the first 3 weeks. they were like, we made a horrible mistake. We can't play the game anymore. And so we let them out. And then the rest of them, we wouldn't let them surrender. And that's a theme with us. Getting into a war is easy with us. Getting out, not so much.
So how did you end up settling things?
Well, there's been an evolution with us on ending wars. In time past, we ended wars and kicked the crap out of the other alliance, and then later they would run their mouths in Discord or in GC. Oh, we didn't lose; it just ended. So, which is controversial with us, is we got tired of that. We went, okay, we make wars very punitive. If you want out of a war with us, you're going to surrender. You're publicly going to surrender on the Discord, and you're going to eat punitive terms. Like, say, 60 days, you can't hit any ship. You're allowed to defend bases in a base raid. But other than that, you can't hit any of our ships, whether it's, if you see, a BE OPC ship sitting out there, you can't touch it. And then when territory control came, we'd say, guess what? We already took all your territory, and for, let's call it 90 days, you're not allowed to take territory again. So we made wars very painful to declare on us, because we just kept getting into the same wars over and over again. They'd declare on us, we kicked the shit out of them, they'd beg to be let out, and then a couple of weeks later, they'd be running their mouths. So we're like, all right, let's give social through our social contract in the game. If you declare war on us, getting out of that war, it's going to hurt. It's going to make you think twice before declaring again.
So after these conflicts, is this how you guys normalize your server rules? First of all, do you have a server rules of engagement, or is it left up to the individual alliances?
We said, so when we stepped off the path of server row, we said we're not going to let anybody else dictate to us. We set a minimum standard. And enough alliances, especially after we kicked the crap out of the ones that took the other path, that we have a minimum. We're not going to hit UPL. We're not going to hit armadas. And back in those days, we added a little bit with territory and stuff lately, but that was it. And we're like, so enough alliances got on board with the simpler individual row. And we made a point that row shouldn't be about what the other guy does. Row should be about what your alliance does. And so as long as any alliance meets what we consider to be the minimum standards, which is don't hit UPC, don't hit armadas unless you're at war, we're good with whatever they have. And so you got these like individual rows that are pretty much the same for every alliance, but have slight differences. And it's more about saying, hey, we're not going to do that, instead of you shouldn't do that.
Sorry about that. I was muted. All right. So, is anything technically then protected? Is it like token space, lucrative warp space,
No.
deep space, dark space? Anything technically protected?
There's been some evolutions. So currently, there's an agreement amongst the territorial holding alliances that we were going to stop hitting OPC in territory, kind of the Meridian problem that all the servers have. And that's reasonably recent. There's a great bit of debate about the whole gentleman's agreement for not hitting OPC in dark space, which sends me off into a tangent that my alliance is sick of hearing about. Because a long, long time ago on our server, back when there were just 4 dudes, which I was one of, we were the only ones in dark space mining. And we had a gentleman's agreement, those 4 dudes. And then more and more people got into dark space, and we all went, gentleman's agreement ain't really working anymore. Generally, we're pretty respectful. We don't, the whales don't generally hit the whales too much when they go OPC and mining. And then all these people are like, there's a gentleman's agreement. And I get a lot irate. I'm like, I know, I made it. I'm the guy that got it together on our server. I'm the guy that started it. I'm the guy that worked it out. And I'm the guy that ended it. So there's a lot of people trying to say that there is a general agreement in dark space, but it's not ratified.
Anything in G5 right now, or is it just screw it?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's like 1 or 2 dudes that can disco something up into G5 and hit. We haven't seen that because the guys up in G5 right now, the guys and girls up in G5, we don't mess with each other. We go OPC there's no agreement as far as I'm concerned, but we go OPC all day, every day, and we just don't really mess with each other.
Is it kind of like the G4 scaling where it's like you got to have way too many in order to refine? Or is it
no, I think I'm doing 2 chest pulls twice a day for all 3 of my G5s, and I think it's 150K each, and I've got a little over, 12 mil in each one, so I'm doing okay. I'm building a stockpile.
Okay.
I assume everybody else is because I see all their miners out there every day with mine.
God, don't you love this game? It's a bunch of Farmville. Until somebody trolls your golden shower.
Yeah, that is a area of great consternation to me. I hate mining. I hate it so much. But I've mined more than anybody else on my server. And I'm like, I have become what I hate. Because, I like having stockpiles. I like when we go to war, I don't have to worry about mining for 6 months.
I guess that's what's nice about being in a territory with no alliance. I could just grab all my ISO and not worry about mining it at all. I'll let the miners mine it for me. Actually, I do want to give a shout out to MCRN. They actually have their really high level players put out some meridians. They're like level 1s, like really low levels for guys that don't have territory. So that's kind of cool because I just grabbed like 600,000 in one swoop or whatever it was. I'm like, oh, cool. I don't have to mine for like 3 weeks.
I don't have that kind of kindness and generosity in my heart. I kind of made a thing in my alliance. We call it meridian fishing. You put out your really big meridian with a PvP crew. Yeah, and you just leave it out at night and see how many Vidars you can kill before, when you log on in the morning.
Yeah, a lot of guys do that too. I think because I'm a level 37 right now, if I have to hit a level 49 like souped up PvP crew meridian, I think it takes me like 3 kills with a PvP crew on my Vidar.
I haven't had a meridian hit in so long. I think it's like no, that stove's still hot. I'm not touching that anymore.
What level are you right now? Actually,
52. I'm just a hair off of 53.
Okay. So, are you expecting anything on the horizon in terms of conflicts?
You never know. We're a little bit. So we've shattered about a half a dozen alliances that they don't exist anymore, or they're a shattered husk of what they used to be. And they're no longer superpowers. So we're kind of victims of our own success. There's no more wills to crush, which is my favorite part of the game. I don't want to beat you. I want to crush your will.
Did those people leave the game, or did they get absorbed into other alliances?
Yeah, there's some alliances out there that are like, it's a new alliance, but they absorb the shattered remnants of 3 alliances that we just destroyed. I find it interesting. I've listened to a number of your guys' podcasts, and I know I've heard several of you, especially Handy, going, "Oh, if the other alliance won't sue for peace, just ignore them. We'll go 6-8 months, and we never quit. We just don't have bigs. We're highly motivated, highly dedicated, competitive as hell, very aggressive. And every day is your worst day in this game when you're at war with us." Sorry, my dog's barking.
Handy, what do you have to say to that? Handy?
Yep, sorry, mute button. I mean, I get it. I understand why people do it like that. I know that at the end of the day, they just have a whole bunch of people that hate them. Which is fine. And if you're good with that, that's fine.
Keeps me warm at night.
And to each their own. I don't know what else to tell you, but I don't personally think that's the best way to do it. But to each their own,
How many active players are in the game right now on your server?
It's a very active server. We've got to have at least 1,000. 1,000 plus. As much as we would love to merge with anybody to have fresh meat, I think that we're a horrible candidate to get merged based on what Scopely's showing us from the servers that have merged.
What's the age of your server?
February of 2020.
So you're relatively new.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably why they're so active. I mean, what we've found or what we've experienced or seen is that the more warlike or, I don't know, evil you guys are at the top alliances, the more exasperated and people quit the game. And then you just end up not having people to play with.
Well, that's something that we talk about. I mean, there certainly is a camp that goes, good. If they don't want to be here, they should quit, and that gets us that much closer to a merge. But we're not seeing that. I mean, yeah, people quit. If that's any game, you'll have attrition. We have huge numbers. It's a highly active server.
Which is great. Just don't spend your player base unwisely, that's all.
Yeah.
Advice.
As much as I would say that it just feels like we're in a different situation, I certainly have to give credence to the fact that, you guys have a year on us. So you got that year of experience, especially in the back end where, you've seen it and you've done it. So it's something to consider.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad your server doesn't have any Karens, or at least you beat those Karens into submission, unlike on our server.
The best thing we ever did was propagate. We have a server Discord, and like almost everybody does, and it got heated. There was a lot of propaganda and finger pointing and name calling, and our guys fed into that, and we got to the point where we weren't really proud of the things that they were saying, whether they were goated or not, reactive or active. We pulled all of our people off of the community Discord for Server 45. Only the leadership stayed. And that was the best thing we ever did.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where less is more. And you got to keep your people from
acting a fool.
Yeah, and we can all be. There were certainly threads where
We're all
I
capable.
got heated.
I agree, but I'm just saying, too many
Yeah.
voices from one head is never a good thing.
So now on our server Discord for 45, if you see somebody from our alliances talking, they're in leadership. So that helped a lot.
So what's kind of the rule in TC right now? I know you kind of briefly went over that, but hitting OPL is cool or overprotected cargo?
Not anymore. Currently, I'd say about a month ago, maybe 6 weeks, the decision was made that we found ourselves in a situation that we were using aggressive row. We would target alliances with the Spock hand. And that meant hit them anytime you can within row. And, we were really good at that, and we didn't have wars. So all of our aggressive players, which is a great number, if you got marked to the Spock hand, life got rough. And we ended up marking a lot of alliances. Like if another alliance came into our territory and hit one of our meridians, for example, for ISO OPC, we'd be like, excellent, you would like to play. You like to hunt us? We applaud you. And we'd mark them for aggressive row. And the difference being, you're going to come into our territory to hunt us, and we're going to hunt you everywhere. And, usually within a day or two, they're screaming to, how can we get out of this targeting? In fact, we have a meeting every Monday going, hey, should we take these people off or should they go another week? And we ultimately came to a decision going, anybody that hits us OPC and territory, we hammer them hard everywhere on the server. But we still got our guys out there raiding, doing OPC. And we're not super comfortable with that. That's kind of a dick move. So ultimately, our diplomats, the diplomats of the alliances, hammered out an agreement that said, we're just not going to hit each other, and we're going to reduce the workload on the officers of the respective alliances.
So what does that mean? That means people can hit you in territories, or there's no hitting in territories? How does that work?
Well, certainly there's lone wolves. There's alliances that don't have territories, so they don't care. But not a lot. So there's not a lot of hitting going on in territories right now. I was kind of ambivalent to it. I didn't want to carve out more protected space. I'm always very resistant anytime we talk about carving out any kind of new protected area. But we did kind of have, we're really hurting people hard when they hunt us, but we're still out hunting people. So I kind of abstained on that vote. Plus, I have to balance what's good for my alliance versus what's good for me at my power level as a leader, because people ain't really messing with me. So, but I got to think about what's going on with some of my mids,
Interesting. So effectively, even though out of, not necessity, but kind of out of ambivalence, territory space kind of became protected.
Well, that was my particular take. Other people felt more strongly about it. It was just something that kind of evolved. And one of our diplomats, who's got a great rapport with the leadership of almost every alliance, said, "Hey, we're talking about this." And when he first broached it, and we were like, "Yeah, I don't know, no more protected space." That we were adamantly against that, but it just kind of organically evolved. Yeah, it's just where we are.
You listen to other servers that we had on the show, like the European servers, pretty much all ISO is protected.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't. So you had like Ripper on the show, and whatever server he's on, he just slaps 2 Meridians on, and they're there for like days, and they don't get touched. And then you have other servers that we had on the show, like Server 12, where they had these fancy rules where you couldn't defend your own base if it was being raided. That was really fun. They changed their row now, but it was kind of hilarious. And then we talk about our problems all the time, right? The Server 34 problems, and now we just have a bunch of Karens on the show, not the show, but the server. Even though their positions were completely and utterly reversed, like last week. So it's interesting to hear that you guys are okay with less protect space, more PvP, more aggression, but all of a sudden, because of that, it turns spaces into protected areas just out of organic growth.
Yeah, pretty much. It's that Meridian problem that all the servers face, that you go OPC so fast.
Right. Well, I mean, that was Scopely's intent from the beginning. More conflict, more problems.
I've got an admiral in my alliance who's convinced that Scopely had a psychologist on staff, and that's who was behind the idea of the Meridian to engineer conflict.
Actually, I think it probably has to do with the lucky accident where they accidentally increased the research for the Devore mining rate to ridiculous levels. And on Lat Mondays, they saw a lot more uptick in rating Lat. So they're like, oh, we should do this for ISO. Because everybody, they know what the accounts are doing, right? Everybody in every server has carved out their specific territories, or territory captures aren't being taken seriously anymore. People are rotating. People have these plans. They're like, man, how do we drum up more money outside of releasing higher levels? So it's like the way people do it is through conflict, right? So they could have hired a psychologist. They could have hired the same people Zynga hired. Oh, I'm sorry, your grandmother didn't know she was spending $100 million in that game. Oh, my bad. Sorry.
More conflict leads to arms races among alliances, which means more pack spots. I agree.
I've been saying that for a long time.
It may be okay. Is that true? He said he saw the job posting. They absolutely do have a consumer shrink on staff. That would explain a lot of things.
Sounds reasonable to me.
Well, it would completely make sense. They would be idiots not to.
Oh, absolutely. Like, how do we scam more money from these people? That was like a year ago. Interesting.
Well,
for me, it was always the arms race, because we're in so much conflict that, we're fighting other alliances. And if that alliance has a big that when he's hitting my people, if I can't stop him, that's not acceptable to me. I got to protect my people. They're counting on me that when the shit goes down, they know I'm going to show up and I'm going to take care of it. I'm going to shut the bigs down. And so if that other big in that alliance we're in war with gets ahead of me, that's not the natural order of things. I can't have that. That's how Scopely made its money off of me.
So are you the number one power player on your server then?
I'm number 2.
How could you be number 2?
Because number 1 is my brother from another mother who's in my alliance. If he and I are fighting, it's the apocalypse. And he's 54 right now. He's like 181 million power.
I'm sure Scopely will figure out a way to make that happen. Where you and him are going to be fighting. You know what's coming, right?
If they can figure out a way for me and THC Barbarian to throw down, they've earned their money, because that's my brother.
So you got the new 52 ship yet?
No, I'm kind of, I'm trying to learn from the people who've got there ahead of me. Ska talked to him a little bit. And I think G5 economy's a little jacked. So I'm a little wait and seeing. I'm building up my rep. And I'm hoping that some G5 cost reduction research drops at some point. So I'm there. I can do it. I'm a few buildings away from 53. And then I'm also, I got the rep there to build the ships. But, I'm just going to wait and see.
Is SCA 60 yet?
Don't do it. SCA's 58.
Okay. So Neotech is 59. SCA is 58. There's another whale out there who's also 59.
I got to say that the greatest piece of advice I ever gleaned out of your guys' podcast was from Inchoate. And he just matter-of-factly dropped that, hey, the heavies in that capital system, the heavies fire kinetic. And it was like, crash stop. What the fuck did he just say?
Yeah, you learned that real quick.
I didn't. Sorry. I'm slow on the uptake. I didn't until you said it. And then I went, I don't think that's right. But he sounds like kind of a smart dude. I got to go test that. So I'm listening to the podcast. I'm crewing up. And I'd be like, son of a bitch. So thank you, sir, for that.
No worries, bro. You want to skip the uncommons, though, to be quite honest. They're totally not worth.
I'm hearing that. I was going to go. I was looking at the ROM uncommon, that piercing ship ability. And then, Scott was saying the same stuff. Hey, go right for the rare. And I was like,
you can do, and the major switch that you have, again, now we've gone back to G3 economy. The economy is now all about, it's actually uncommon crystal. G5 is your rate limiter for everything, essentially. It includes your research, your ships, even some of the building stuff, oddly enough.
I've noticed that, whereas G4 was all about ship parts.
Yeah.
And
the nice little benefit that you'll get, though, is once you start getting the G5 ships and you start getting the ship packs, is now you can build up quite easily your G4 as a secondary. Because I never maxed out my G4 rares, because I just went on and got the epics, and I still only got the trib to tier 11. Just as it gets so ridiculously exponentially more and more costly.
Once you hit that rare part wall, jeez.
Yeah. You get that one jump in you can go from tier 8 to like tier 9.5 for free because you've built up all those rare parts and you've never spent them. And then
10 comes down like a wall.
Yeah, it does. But and the farming is a lot easier, to be quite honest, in G5. And I don't have a G4 epic on my hotbar at all. Don't use them. But the uncoms are kind of okay.
So, Inco, you just use G5s to do your hostile hunting?
No. I use a G5, so I'll use the Sanctus, just to get rid of the 53s, and then you use your G4 rares. Bonus rep, man.
Oh, okay.
So that's one of my bigger mistakes in the game. Being on a server that was just conflict. My ship growth was all around conflict. So I went G4 uncommon. I got into the Kelvin. And that's where the fight was. I mean, every day I had a guy that he and I were, I'd get ahead of him, he'd get ahead of me, I'd get ahead of him, and that went on for so long. And then, I went right to the rare. I went right to the epic G4. And now I'm really regretting not having 8. That's like number 1 on my growth list right now. It's like, I got to get a Pilum.
But the Newt is the best farmer of the G4 rares. The Newt's the best. The Plum is the number 2, and the Coronar sucks balls for survey farming. But
I've been kind of leaning towards the Pilum because I got a big stockpile of
of those parts.
Of interceptor parts. I mean, I got like 250K of the commons. So as soon as I build it, I know I can jump to T5.
Right. Well,
that's
what Ska's farming with. He farms with he'll use his Sanctus again for the 53s, and then he's running 4 or 5 pylums.
Those 53s are no joke.
They're easy if, like, once you get the rare. I mean, I repair my Sanctus. I just repaired it, and I've been farming all morning.
How many 53 like traders can you get with a Sanctus? And what tier is your Sanctus at?
Several hundred at tier 5.
Outstanding.
Because if you crew it correctly, that's where, you know, I think the game gets a little bit more fun when you're not at the end game, because they always make the epic ship. You're forced into a certain crew when you're at the other levels, because it doesn't matter, you know, do you run a hull breach, do you run a burn crew, does it have to have morale? You're not pigeonholed into that. So now you can play with some, you know, interesting crews. And I'll just without saying exactly what I do, I'll tell you 80% of the time I take 0 damage from the Sanctus and killing a 53.
I know what you're doing. Yeah, yep. I got that.
So if you know, you know. But
on a personal note, sir.
Yeah.
Please come on the show more. Not to be
people get tired of me, man.
Not to be an unhumble dick, but a lot of the things people are talking about, I've already tread that ground. And when I'm scrolling through their, you know, inches on, he's tread the ground that I'm treading right now already, and he may drop a pearl of wisdom. So I appreciate that.
Of course, but yeah, I was just dicking around, and last night, so at tier 5 with no additional equipment, no additional modules at all, with the Sanctus, I soloed the 51 Epic Armada. So they're a huge jump in power. So it's like, and at that level, it's a 120 million ship. So they're hugely, hugely helpful. And you definitely need it when you are at 56, because the other ships, there's just, you know, you could get 1 or 2 level 56 as long as you're triangling correctly, rather than, you know, I can go up there and at least do other interceptors, you know, and surveys and battleships, because you have to jump between 3 systems where you can hit 56 and above in order to get your daily, just to get ship parts.
Gotcha.
You know, to do the one refined kind of thing, you know, and click the stupid button.
I'll just post the screenshots of Inco soloing a level 50 rare and then a level 51 epic, because those seem insane.
Yeah, it's a huge jump, but hopefully the word on the curb is that hopefully they fix the rep bug this week with the update, because I haven't been able to see Romulan space for a while now. It's kind of annoying.
I can't imagine the fury that must have induced.
I've sent a message to customer service every day asking where my compensation is, just to be pissy.
Oh, you're not getting any compensation. We both know that.
Of course not. But no, that's really helpful for this, and the farming is really easy at this level, because if you can get up, you know, over, so how long has this X-Pack been out? Right. What, a month, roughly? So in a month, if I've been able to get more than a third of the way to to the 3rd rep lock, I mean, that farming's not bad. You know, I think G4 was worse.
I would agree.
Wait, did you say Ska had 5 pylums? What?
Yeah.
6. He's got 6 rare. Well, 6 rare.
Oh
6
God.
rare G4s. I don't know if they're all pylums, but he's got 6 G4.
Yeah,
that's
he loves
that's
the
how
plums.
he does the rep. That's how he gets his rep.
Because I saw just yesterday or the day before, Ska's at 6.5 billion rep, and I'm only at 5.25 or 5.5 billion of primary rep, just because he just runs so many ships.
And he just wants that Daenerys class, or the Daenerys itself.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be really bad if he gets it and it sucks.
Good to have goals.
It's not going to suck, and pound for pound, the G5 epics are cheaper to tier up than G4 were, based on the same economy.
Really?
I've seen where Ska's saying that all the G5 ship abilities are broken. Are you encountering? Have you the same opinion?
The game itself is I don't understand why they released the additional levels and ships. I really don't, because they didn't do anything in those systems at all. They didn't do anything. They have the rep bug, which everybody knew about. Within a week of the X-Pack coming out, we were getting told, "Oh yeah, but guys, don't go above 4.4 billion rep because you'll break the game." And most of us are like, "Well, fuck that." Challenge accepted.
Challenge accepted.
Exactly.
Yeah,
But
I mean, that's got to be half the reason why you did it.
yeah, and yeah, the ship abilities do not work. So it is kind of a joke. It doesn't make them non-functional, obviously, but yeah, the ship abilities are broken. The systems are broken. there's absolutely nothing.
I got a question for you. So for all those systems that you showed me way back when, did they film with hostiles eventually?
No, those systems that I was sending you right after the X-Pack, those are the systems that are just beyond beta sector, where there's just nothing in them. They have nothing. They're just empty. You go there for a mission every now and then. And then they have random hostiles in the I call it the double D space for faction.
Okay.
And most of the systems are, 2 types of ship or 3 types of ship, kind of systems. They're just randomly spattered in there. There's nothing else in any of those systems. You can't get the one change they have, I think we already talked about a couple of weeks ago, was they have the 2 primary systems in the double D space that you can farm G5 with your disco because they're under 200 warp. And then the next one beyond that, I think, is 220. So you get your Nova up to just like tier 2. Or maybe, it's just tier 2, I think, is all you need to get there. Then the next system, I think, is 285. I scouted them out, but I haven't bothered going back, obviously.
How big of nodes are you finding out there?
The 220 plus are 1.7s.
Okay.
But then beyond that, the next place that has your next level, I think it's 1.9, and then the top one I think is 2.2, maybe. And that's so that one, if I have to click on something that can't get there. So it's 285. I take it back. So it's 285, 255, and then the low level ones. So the 255, I think, is still 1.5 million. Then the 285 is 1.7 million. Then you have to go to warp 355 for like the 1.9. And then the largest system is 440.
Gotcha.
So it jumps quickly.
Those are some very high warp ranges.
Yeah, but the Sanctus at tier 5, again, without getting the warp, I think the warp will jump so that you can get over 500. So that's with the tier 6 module for warp. You can go to any system. Obviously, it's not a minor, but so you get the warp space pretty easily.
So I'm thinking that one giant system with the sinkhole in it, that's probably going to be the wormhole to go to the left side of the map when they release the Deep Space Nine content.
Probably, yeah. The nice thing, at least with the highway system, is that it's not misery to get there. It's not very convenient, but it's not misery.
Do you have to buy special warp tokens, or is there a special currency for that?
No, it's the research that you get those the intelligence doodads that you turn in through faction. There's a certain level of there's research in the combat tree that you have to get tier 3 of the, what's like 0.5% crit reduction stuff or shield mitigation stuff, and then it has highways that you can open. There's one for each faction, and then you use all 3 currencies in combination for this 4th thing to open up all the highways. And the one thing that actually I've seen that Scopely actually did code pretty well is it actually uses the highways. You don't have to I was so concerned I'm going to have to fucking go click on this goddamn thing just to get over here. It actually will go to the highway and warp you well. So that logic at least works.
Okay, so it's just automatic. Once you unlock them and you say, I want to go from territory space to warp 300 space, it'll actually use the corridors.
Correct.
Okay. Oh, well, that's nice, because I was thinking you'd have to actually physically go to that system, but you don't. Right. It just takes it into account.
That's what I was definitely worried you'd have to do. And pay some kind of toll or something, I need to get another token. That's exactly what I need is more freaking tokens of something.
That's what I was thinking too. You need a token, and then you need to get currency to get that token, and you get it's like you got to grind all those hostiles up there in order to get your like the Eclipse turn-ins.
Oh, I definitely had in my mindset, Blazing Saddles. Somebody's gonna have to go back and get a shitload of dimes. Yep. But no, it's not. It's not that bad.
That's good. They actually made things easier for a change as opposed to harder. That's
So now instead of it cuts it down to 4-ish minutes to get from double D space down into TCs, for example.
I like how you say double D space.
Yeah, that's one of my favies too.
We call it deep space, but I'm calling it double D space now.
Right. That was a no-brainer. But yeah, that's basically all that's up there now. So if and when they fix the rep bug, that is the next step that will be helpful. But the farming is 100%, no question, the 51s to 53s. Crew it well, and you can save a lot of RSS, even if you use the really expensive ships, because the Sanctus is 8.5 billion trit and 150 million dilly to repair for a hull. So you don't want to blow it up a whole bunch if you can avoid it.
That's a lot. I can't imagine what that's like without research. That must be 50 billion without research. What else can you tell us up there in Never Neverland, Inco?
I'll go back to what you were talking about for 45 before. This is one of the things that cracks me up because, if you magically were transported into our server, I would all of a sudden stop being a dick. It would be so cool to have people that ran around and blew people up, because if I say something, then I'm the world's worst person on the planet, and I can't. Other than one guy that I was having a little bit of a tiff with a few days ago, I can't remember the last time I've blown somebody up. But to have those wars and to have them go on forever, that would just be a riot.
Ultimately they tried us again. The second big war we had, the number 2 and the number 3 alliance and their allies, they were dicking around with a mid-level alliance that we were allied with, and they did some stupid stuff. And war was on. I sent thank you notes to the guy who started the war. I sent thank you notes to all of their leadership because I was getting bored. Mm-hmm. We wrote the map. We wiped all of those alliances off the map. They don't hold territory anymore. Mm-hmm. And one of them is gone. It doesn't exist. The other one is a shattered remnants of what it used to be, and everybody else absorbed all their big hitters. You could say we're evil. I'm certainly, there's people on my server 45 that would agree with you, but we're really more like really angry libertarians. We've all, the thing about libertarians is we've all secretly written a manifesto, but we wouldn't bother you to have you read it. Because that would be important.
That sounds really
No,
cultish.
I definitely get the analogy.
Just saying it sounds really cultish.
Oh, yeah. But the fun I'm the one that gets accused of running a cult. I love that. When in all actuality, it's not. It's really Handy's cult. I'm just the puppet.
Well, what is it? What do they accuse you of doing, Inco? You're a hacker you're a Chinese hacker in your mom's basement. Is that
Yep. And one of my best server friends again called me a trust fund baby. I was like, thanks, bud.
I was just gonna say that's the new one.
Yeah.
On my server, I'm known as a hammer, and all my problems look like nails.
Yeah. That makes sense too. But in reference to your previous question, Tech, there honestly is nothing else up in Double D space. Just the farming nodes, and some hostile zones, and that is all.
And you just let half the air out of my balloon.
Yeah, sorry. I mean, I can't tell you what is in the Warp 500 space yet because I just haven't bothered because I'm waiting for the arc to start before tearing up the Sanctus anymore.
Were you able to blow up that 100 mil Borg cube?
No, it disappeared.
It did. Oh, that pissed me off. That thing, I hated it. With the fire of 1,000 suns, I was gonna get it, and then it just disappeared. I'm still pissed.
Yeah. They definitely should have left it in for us because there's a lot of angst. I remember throwing, every single G4 epic in a row, all the rares, all the epics. I rode all 6 of them up there and just crashed them into it one after another.
I'd still be sprinting headfirst into that Borg cube if they'd left it in the game.
Yep. Every now and then I used to actually use that Borg cube if I was dicking around and I hadn't done I didn't play for a day and the reset was coming up for to get your rep turn in. I would just run a ship into it so I could repair it and get, because that's all you had to do. It's like, oh crap, I only got 10 minutes.
I've suicided on that thing a few times to get my rep, my daily done.
Yep. But yeah, I'll let you know probably after the next arc opens up if there's anything in the Warp 500 space. But my level of expectation is extraordinarily low.
That is unfortunate that the Borg cube just disappeared. Wanted to see somebody blow it up.
Oh yeah, well, and it would have been cathartic for so many people that blew themselves up on it so many times.
Yeah, because it with the new ships it becomes beatable, right? Because it's only like 100 million power or something, 106 million.
Yeah, it was 106. Yeah. So yeah, I would imagine even though it's just a yellow, you'd have to recrew for yellows. But I mean, I don't even know that you'd need that with 120 million ship. You're pound for pound, you can kill yellows to within 3/4 if you have 3/4 of the power. So
that's right. That's true.
And that's with a standard crew without a yellow crew.
You could put Mbenga on it.
Dude, I did. What was it? I can't remember. Handy, do you remember who it was? Well, anyway, there was somebody who was screwing with some of our guys in TC. I crewed up one of the. This is before the X Pack. I crewed up because I was one of the only people that did some of the G4 surveys because it was just like something else to do. And then the disco broke them all. But I crewed up I pulled up one of the tier 10 G4 surveys and put solo Mbenga as captain and went and blew them up. It really is probably one of the most fun things I've done in the game. With the Novas, you could actually do that. These things are not bad. I mean, at like tier 3, they're 20 million ships. So at least they got that figured out for this X Pack. But
they had to. I mean, they had screwed up the G4 miners so badly that they had to do something.
Can't argue that.
And they made them ridiculously cheaper. When they first came out, they were ridiculously expensive. Then they lowered the cost drastically. So they're really
had to. That's a joke, man.
Well, I mean, they didn't have to. Idiots like me would still get it, but yeah.
And we love you for it, even though you are a Chinese hacking mom basement trust fund baby.
Exactly. But yeah, but I'm with you. I hate mining more than anything, and it's like shit. You still got to do it.
Still got to do it.
You know, at least in this one now I only have to mine 2 currencies because I can't see the third one. But I'm getting close to where I can only see one of them, so I don't know what's going to go on from here. If they don't fix it soon, I'm going to have to stop playing because I won't be able to see anything.
Sorry, it'll still take like a week to crack your base anyway.
With us and mining, as soon as the big war ends, you get 10 minutes to celebrate, and then it's get back to work, rebuild your stockpiles for the next war, because we're us and it's coming.
Yep. That's true. And then they do the X-Pack where now you're still chewing through. I mean, I've got over 100 million of all G4s. Like, I'm just clicking the button. Like, I just want it to go away because just like on your phone, like if you're OCD and you can't stand having the number indicator that there's something to do, like I've given up on email, but like everything else, I want it gone. I hate it on the screen where you have the number next to your refinery. Or your rewards. Like I just want those to go away. You know,
or like you have the.
They need to just give you an option to turn those off.
Yeah.
Or like that you have loot chests. Like you have to open them.
Yep. I don't
know how people do it where they have like 10,000 chests to open. I'm like, dude, no. Like if it gets to 50, I'm opening them.
Yeah,
I've trained myself that way.
When I was getting close for the Sanctus, I was just farming and not opening those, and had to click button for 4,000 or 5,000 of those loot chests. It's like, ugh, and they're worthless, right? There's absolutely nothing in them. You know, like, oh great, here's another Pylum or another Newton BP. Like, gee, thanks.
Yeah. If I ever want to build 4 more Kelvins, I'm set.
Yeah.
I'm at a point where I'm actually getting like a ton of Burrell blueprints just from farming ROMs or not ROMs, Klingons. I'm just like, oh, cool, an Explorer. I have an Enterprise. Why do I need a Burrell?
Yeah.
Crap.
Yeah, I mean, just from all that crap farming, I can build 4 more Hydras, 3 more Kelvins, 3 or 4 more Valdors. It's like, okay, great.
I will say, though, that Scopely has made it easier through Epic Armada packs for me to get a jellyfish without actually hitting level 39 and getting a jellyfish first.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that is the one. The other thing that I'll let you down with is there is still no plan for G4 scrapping. So as of yet. So those 8 jellyfishes that are just sitting around there, you still cannot get rid of them.
I really, really want to get rid of them.
Yeah.
It's like the guys that I mentor that are lower level, they're in those low mid 30s and they're always asking me questions. They're like, I want to get the jelly and I want to get no, I don't want to burst your bubble. It just sucks. It's a dog at everything. It just, no, that's not it. And it just deflates them.
Yeah.
Well, I tell people that the reality is the jelly's a stopgap and it depends on how fast you're going to level. So if you're spending money, skip it. If not, then you need to build it because you need it.
There was a little period of time when we were all stuck at 39, respectively, where, the jelly had its place. It was the only way to get above a tier 9, G3 Epic. But that ship sailed a long time ago.
Well, I haven't hit 39 yet, so I'm going to need the jelly.
I mean, with all the research and whatnot, people are using G3 epics to hit the punch quite a bit above. I mean, they're killing, mid-40s hostiles. with the G3 epic, I guess.
I tell my guys that 41 is the new 39 and the Enterprise is the new Saladin.
Right.
You know, for my mids.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that.
I've been using my auger to grind. God, it is so slow. It's absolutely. It's just such a snail.
It is painful, but again, you're using those same things when you have the epics. You're pigeonholed into crew setups, just to maximize the damage from the ship, to maximize its functionality. That again is the nice thing when you actually have an expansion. You can actually crew things in very imaginative ways and be a lot more effective at grinding.
So imaginative that I imagine that there are Scopely devs running around ripping their hair out going, fuck, why do they know our officers better than we do?
Yeah, that's exactly it. But then, and the kicker was, you'll appreciate this. So the day before they released all the put all the officers into the ultra packs, I turned in 1.2 or 1.3 million ultra things to get 5 up to top tier. The day before, I was like, man, thanks guys. If you wanted to say fuck you, just come and say it to my face. Don't do it this way.
It's like they were waiting for you to do that.
I know, but I've come to expect it. But yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
That was because of that event, right? So
yeah.
they did it on purpose. I mean, they released an event to get people to empty their coffers. I mean, that's just their MO. I mean, if you see an event that uses a currency that we've been holding on to for a while and it's valuable in some way, shape, or form, they're probably going to make it even more valuable. So don't blow it all, basically.
And that's why I tell people all the time, pay attention to what currencies are tiered. So, for example, you have your ship parts, you have G3, G4, G5, whatever. For currencies that are not tiered, so officer recruit stuff, yes, I know that there's the other one, but there's the ultras, right? So there's not like a G3 ultra and a G4 ultra.
Right.
Same thing goes for your armada rewards. You have uncommon, rare, and epic. It doesn't matter what you are. So if you start seeing that you're not getting anything in those packs that benefits you, like the epic is stupid for me to turn in. I don't want another Ent A or whatever. So don't just blow those because you have the ability to do so. Keep a hold of them, because if they're not going to be any good, even if they go away, it's no big deal.
I can't help clicking the button.
I know, it's hard.
It's lit up.
But it's clear that Scopely is exploring alternate currencies for events. So that makes me really, hey, I don't know what the hell they're going to pull out of their ass next. I may need a lot of this.
So you want to keep stuff around. That's just the general. That's now through the 2 full-blown expansions, that's become very apparent as a strategy for people.
You heard it here first. Be a hoarder.
But if you're going to hoard everything, we need clear communication from Scopely of what's on the horizon. You just can't hoard everything because something
no, of course not.
might someday show up.
What I was going to say is just hoard a certain amount. Come up with whatever amount you think is advantageous. Hoard up to that point, and then whatever you get over that, go ahead and spend it as normal. But then at least you always have that supply.
Like, that's what I'm doing with Ultras. I've got a set amount that I'm not going to go under.
Right.
Well, you're going to get more from your stashing hunt stuff.
Yeah, but the word on the curb is this next arc will do something with TC, something with PvP, and that's kind of the tidbits that came out. Now, I don't think they're going to come out and ever do. Y'all remember, what was it, a year ago when they had that galaxy-wide PvP event that they had to shut down so fast because people were just tearing their hair out going, it's unfair!
Oh, it was wonderful. It was glorious.
It's unfair.
With skyrockets and chocolate.
Oh
or
my
the
god!
Rating, remember the rating event?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Well, and I remember because the PvP event, we eventually ran around and hit every station that you possibly could because you got credit for the docked ships. It was great.
I know, it was awesome.
And then, like 6 hours later, there's not. It's a ghost town everywhere. Every base is shielded, or completely dead.
That you made it 6 hours. We made it 30 minutes, and I was like, it was like fucking Whoville.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Everybody logged out. It was a fucking
all
joke.
I could see is my allies. What?
Yeah, they're not going to do any game like that again.
That is so disappointing, though.
It's nice for higher level players. It's not so much nice for lower level players.
Yeah, but come on. I mean, it's got to be at least somewhat fun to hit other lower level players.
Dang.
There's not that many more lower level players left. That's the only problem.
That PvP, I was begging for. I'm like, when you grind my ship down, I'm not going to warp it away. I'll let you kill me. I'll stay here. Just keep coming. I'll give you yours.
No, absolutely.
Well, to put things into perspective, like, it's fun to PvP when you win, but it's not so fun when you lose. So when you're going up against a ship that's crewed for PvP with your level versus my level, there are not a lot of people that are going to want to blow up 16 of their ships just to get one of yours.
But
that's not the.
I don't totally agree with that. So I had a bunch of fun
so much. Yeah. That if you take me, I'm coming back with different crews. I'm coming back. Right. If you have me that outpowered, I'm a pit bull. I'm gonna attack your repair bill if that's all I got.
Yeah, there's a player on our server who is very, very technical with crew setups, and was 49 forever and ever and ever before the X-Pack. And I used to love fighting with him because he'd send it out and he'd send a different crew and he'd do a different crew and he'd play with this, and it'd be impressive. It'd be like, wow, I didn't think to put those stupid people together and see how effective they are. It's very entertaining. I love players like that.
Yeah.
But that was a level 49.
It's your opportunity to work.
That's how you learn to punch up.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like you're going to get a level 34 against a level 48. And
but think about the ship differential though. So
you're running a server that can clean the clock of 38s because the 38s don't have a crew, right?
Right. It's just like, when people crew their sallies correctly and they go blow up G3 Ents, you can do it. If you know how to, or you pay attention, or you research it, or whatnot.
Yeah, that's the person crewing the Ent has probably got a hostile crew on. That's how that works.
Well, and that's true too. But they, it always comes down to, depending on what you're used to playing. So, like, if something's going on PvP wise, like, it was rare that I would ever recrew to a true PvP crew, except when, like, TC first came out. Okay, yeah, we were trying to crew up our, ships to very PvP oriented. But, aside from that, it's very, very rare that I would ever go back and recrew for a PvP crew because the ship was just overpowered. You just power by numbers, not by strategy. You don't need it. So you don't bother taking the time, because even though they approved, we're going to do crew setups that you can save. Yeah, they said they were going to do that for the last 2 years. I'm holding my breath still. It was just a pain in the ass. You had to get back to your station, and then there was time wasted. It was always like, fuck it, just send it. Just power by
killing your people while you're recrewing.
They need to be able to let you switch your lower deck out with your upper deck while you're not at base. I don't understand why they don't do that. It's freaking ridiculous. It stands to reason somebody on the ship can go to the bridge. What the fuck?
Exactly.
Why won't they fix that?
Ships work. That's not how ships work. What are you talking about?
So dumb.
Yeah, it's definitely not helpful. But it would be a good way to change it, and God forbid to have things saved so you can go, this is my auger PvP crew, and click the button for it. Or the same thing if you're doing all the away teams, you're pulling all these officers from so many freaking ships because everybody's got a stupid different button, and then you go back and you're like, where the hell did all these people come from? I can't even remember. Which one did I have on the lower deck for this because I needed health because oh Christ.
I hate away missions. They're so worthless. I hate
they're not worthless.
The point, that's the problem is that they're not worthless.
No,
like the payout's great. I haven't killed a Borg cube, and I can't freaking tell you how long, and it is magical. I mean, that's better than Massage of the Happy Ending, not having to go to fucking Borg space ever again. Screw that place.
I don't have any more. What is it? Those refresh tokens left, so I gotta wait every 12 hours for missions to refresh, and I don't run the ones I don't want to run, like those to get the I don't know. I'm still at the phase where you can get those rare tokens or something, or whatever tokens. I don't run those anymore. I have like 500,000. I'm like, I'm done with this. I don't need them anymore.
Well, but but you're also you're also not buying packs. So for a lot of people that are, my advice for current strategy, because they're releasing those packs in limited numbers. When those packs come out, you grab them. It's just like before this X pack, when Cultivated Mycelium came out, grab it, man.
Absolutely.
So you'd have, 5 million mycelium. You could disco all day, and it's no big deal. That's the same thing I feel about the away teams. Just wait when they release the packs, you get some of those packs, and then I only run away teams, maybe once every several weeks. And then when I run them for like an hour, and keep refreshing them, get all the crap I want, and then I'm done.
Hey, Inko, real quick, can you come kill some of these 53s?
Oh yeah.
I'm looking at a system full of 53s and 52s.
That's not a problem.
I need you to clean those up for me, brother.
Yeah, well, you got to be good for something. But that's another one of the important strategies for those that are either intermittent or bigger pack buyers, is you look for the ones that are somewhat reserved, right? Some type of consumable, some type of speed up, some type of something that you can't get all the time. That's something you really want to pay attention to. When it comes out, you get it. Just like recently they had that the intelligence that I was talking about that you need in order to open up the highways at Ops 53. Otherwise
those
to get
packs
that
popped those first day. I was like, I don't know what this is yet, but I know I'm going to need a shitload of it. I'm taking 5.
I did exactly.
I didn't know what
it
did, but I knew I needed all 5 packs.
Yep. And I did the exact same thing. So when I hit Ops 53, they had released the second round that you could buy them. And I think all told, it was, if memory serves, about 8 packs of that intelligence crap in order to open up the highways, which otherwise you guys have seen it's the mining daily that gives you like 1,000 or 8,000 of them or something like that. That's the only other way to get it. I know of no other way to get it.
I'm getting like 6,500 at my level. Yeah, how's that called? The G5 mining power.
Yeah, the something stupid mining.
Something power.
Right.
Pinnacle of power.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds right.
The pinnacle of power? Wow.
I tell all my guys, if you have the ability to get that stuff, stockpile. Because when the wheel comes around and you need it, trust me, you're going to need a shitload of it.
Right. It's just like when they came out with the those faction packs, right? In G4, where all of a sudden you were getting ship parts and faction credits in the same pack.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dude, you just got a 50% off pack. Pay attention to stuff like that. That's critical to realize that they had that. And like
when they that in a while. I haven't
well,
seen that in a while.
well, you're not going to see it for a while because now we have G5 ships. You know, they started doing that to try to promote people with their G4s. So it'll be a long time until you see something like that again. But like intermittently, you know, we've seen those $200 packs. Like, dude, if you look pound for pound, those things are really a good buy. Now, I mean, they're obviously expensive. Don't get me wrong. But if if that's part of your game style, those are things that you really want to pay attention to, because you can do that and it's a huge benefit to you.
That's a good point. I mean, everybody thinks a whale is a whale is a whale. But I know on my server, you can really tell the difference between the whales that spend smart and the whales that don't.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
It's night and day.
Yeah, it's quite impressive how you can, you know, with the same amount of money, the same amount of expenditure, do significantly better. You know, like I saw somebody on one of the other servers that had bought a bunch of packs because they were like, oh, there isn't any G5, you know, stuff in this pack, because if you look at the pack, they screwed up the order and it was at the bottom, so they just thought it wasn't in there. So they bought like twice as many packs as they needed to. Like, whoops.
Jesus.
All
Yeah.
right. So, moral of the server, or moral of the story today is Inco's got to come on more often, talk about the upper level system stuff. Server 45 has been beaten into submission by ocmsrzr and his alphabet community. No, that doesn't sound right. The alphabet community is something else. A group that's
the alphabet agency.
Sure, yeah, let's go agency. Because when you say community, it kind of refers to a different community.
We don't have a community. I have a whole pack of bloodthirsty savages behind me going, is today the day? You going to let me off the leash today?
And
I know how that is.
And server 34 has a bunch of Karens and male Karens.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I promised I let RobertApril get the last word, since he's fighting with the top tier alliances, and he's like a mid tier alliance.
What's up, RobertApril?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good, man. How are you doing?
Oh, I'm not too bad.
What's the good word?
It's a fun fight. Interesting.
How many actual alliances are you fighting now? I can't keep track.
Well, I've read 4, but 3 that we're fighting fairly hard. Yeah.
Because it's Dark, it's Most, and Baby Most. Is there anybody else?
Yeah. Not that I'm aware of. No. No one else that I've seen screenshots for to be added.
Correct me if I'm wrong, real quick. If they had reached out to you and told you who the problem was and what exactly was going on, you could have fixed it and it wouldn't have gone to war, right?
Well, that's correct. Yeah. Yeah.
So communication people fucking communicate.
Well, I think
did the same thing with us, but they reached out to me and talked, and we fixed the problem before it became an issue.
Well, I mean, Voter admitted he trolled you guys into a war, effectively.
Yeah, I mean, they wanted a war, so, you know. Which I guess I don't blame them, because sometimes shit gets boring.
I mean, not that Dark needs any help from any other alliance to fight Wolf, but I'll use Handy's term. It's very silly that they're doing it. That they have Dark and Most and Baby Most.
Well, Baby Most, I think, was just brought into the mix to take the territory away from us. So,
got it. Oh yeah, that would make sense.
Big Most and Dark are full TCs. They each got 5. So, The only way they could take a TC from us was to bring someone in that didn't have one.
And you mentioned something to me also that even though they're fighting with you, they're actively trying to recruit your players.
Yeah, they're trying to blame it on my big whales, and they're trying to recruit them at the same time.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Dude, I fucking love darts sometimes, man. They fucking crack me up. They're just amazing.
Yeah, and then another one of my top players, they're like, "Here, oh, look at this guy. He's doing all the damage. He's fighting your entire war, and he's not even a comm." Well, maybe he is, maybe he isn't. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm loving the GC chat and the way they're crying about it. It's really boosting morale for us anyway.
It's really strange. I again, and this is, you know, Kirk left us a while ago, but it's so strange because when I was at Dark, the mentality which I was drawn to was we don't need any allies. We're on our own, and we beat to our own drum. And
right.
You know, you don't violate whatever row everybody's established. We don't bug you, right? You obviously want to pick a fight with us. We'll retaliate in kind. But now that I've been gone, it's just like the mentality has really changed, and I think it's due to mainly a couple of people in leadership. But it's just, I just find it so odd. At first, that, you know, in one of our podcasts, right? They said, Handy, you said Dark merged with the server. It's effectively true. And then they have, I mean, Dark and Most are 2 top 5 alliances, and they have to fight Wolf together. And Wolf's what, 15? What are you guys, 15, 16?
I've had a few players leave, but I think we're at 19 right now.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's just ridiculous.
Oh,
Andy,
they've
do your silly comments.
It's pretty silly.
Each one of those alliances has like almost triple the power of us. So,
I mean, it's totally unnecessary to beat up on Wolf. I can't see that it's any fun for them, really, truly.
Well, they don't have a lot of targets, which is probably a little bit aggravating, and we're pretty good at shielding and picking our exploits and targeting them and getting the hate mail. So,
I mean, I just can't imagine it be that fun, but maybe it is. I don't know.
I can't see it being a ton of fun, but I think we've had 2 or 3 people raided, and that was it. So
it is a challenge for them to try and find you guys and hit you. So I guess that's a challenge. But
well, they've taken everything away from us now. We have nothing left to lose, and we're just trying to
which
get
means
what we had back.
There's no incentive for you guys to not war.
Pretty much.
You've lost the players you're going to lose. You've lost your territory.
Yep. I think it was 5 or 6 players we lost, which isn't... It's to be expected in any war.
I disagree, but I mean, anytime we have a war, we never lose anybody.
But you're the number one
alliance. Got a lot of big players. Yeah.
You don't know what it's like, Handy, to be a mid-tier alliance anymore, okay? That ship has sailed long ago.
I guess I'm out of touch.
All right, guys, it's time to wrap it up. I want to thank everybody for being here. 45, ocmsrzr, thank you very much. ShadowGray, Captain RobertApril, Cook, happy birthday. Inco, always a pleasure to have you on. And for Strange Kirk, this is TechMan16 saying thank you, everybody. Please like, subscribe, comment. It helps with the algorithm, and do all those things that social media asks you to do. Thank you very much. Talk to you guys next time.